And let's just face it, I'm sorry to say this, I love my country, but sometimes you have to call things out. There are people who will listen to and absorb and believe anything you present to them without questioning, without trying to analyze. And these people are in a majority, and so they will go along with um, these kind of statements being made by certain politicians about who is superior. And again, I say that there's no place in our society for that. So every 5 years, which is when we have general elections, according to the Westminster system, the political system as well, parliamentary system has been inherited from the British colonial days. So we still have that parliamentary system where we vote for members of parliament, and those in the majority form the government. Whichever party wins the most votes forms the government. And so every 5 years, we have this sort of disturbance of our general peace and general good relations. And I would like to really see that change to a point where we can hold all our politicians accountable, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of our ethnicity. We want to make sure that we are being best served by the people that we elect into power. Because when you get into power, you are governing an entire nation. You're not just governing one ethnic group or one social class. So that's a bit of my rant and my my plea as well, that we stop playing these really silly games when it comes to politics.
Thank you for that. Thank you for reminding me that also, because in Africa, in many parts of Africa, that also is happening. A good example would be in Nigeria, where you have three major ethnic groups: the Hausa, the Igbo, the Yoruba. So a lot of the politicians that we have try to play politics along this line, and it's a politics of division instead of a politics of unity. And this division have been hampering the Nigerian national identity and the progress of the country. Because oftentimes you have a leader who, of course, they know that maybe in terms of because we have a presidential system now. If they know that as a president, elected as a president of the country, you are going to govern the entire country. You are going to have the armed forces under your control, the police, all the institutions, both local and both domestic and foreign policy. You are going to be in charge of that, which means you're not only going to be representing the Yoruba, the Hausa, or the Igbo in this case. You're going to be representing the entire country. So why not just play the politics of the country, of the interests of the people? What do the people want? Sometimes they are very trickish in this, in that by the time they start playing this ethnic politics, you no longer come with the question of national identity. That suffers at the end of it. But if you look at the people that, just like you were saying in case of Trinidad and Tobago, the Nigerian people, they want to live in peace. They want to live among themselves. The Hausa, the Yoruba, the Igbo. Of course, I'm just mentioning these three. If you go to Nigeria, there are lots of ethnic group you don't even hear of. No, all these people are able to live in peace. Indeed, they live in peace. They intermarriage among them. They do businesses among themselves. They don't have any problem. But
Mm.
when politics come in, they start dividing. They start creating all sort of artificial boundary for themselves. And it really has got to stop, like you put it. But how can it stop? Both in the case of Trinidad Tobago and in Nigeria and in some other African countries, because we want it to stop. We can live in peace from different ethnic backgrounds.
It will take some analysis and people willing to question the system. And questioning the system doesn't mean being disrespectful. It means exercising your right and your freedom to question what's being said to you and to seek truth. We inherited, we are the product of an education system based on the British colonial system, in which people have been, I would say, formatted um, to write exams, to pass exams, and not necessarily to think critically. Um, I would say it's quite rare to find people who question what is being offered to them on a plate. People generally accept that whatever you're offering to them, that's the truth. And I'm saying that we need to be citizens who are more analytical. We need to exercise our freedom to ask questions without disrespecting anyone, without antagonizing anyone, without making defamatory remarks about anybody's character. But we should be able to exercise our freedom to question what's being said and to seek information, to seek the truth about what's being presented to us, not just by politicians, but people across the board. And even as you spoke of some of the ethnic groups in Nigeria, it's just brought back to memory that some of these are some of our ancestors here, because in the days of slavery, a lot of our ancestors would have come from the West Coast, the Gold Coast, and so we do have descendants of the Igbos, descendants of Mandingos, Ashanti, the different tribes from the West Coast. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe maybe some of the residue then is what we are experiencing today.
Yeah, it is partly the responsibility of the people, but it is majorly based on the configuration of the country by the British. In that the way they structure the system, they sort of hit one against the other. It is not necessarily because the people are coming from different ethnic background. This different ethnic background, which might be in this case whether the Madiga, the Igbo, the Ashanti, the Yoruba, okay, they are different people, yes, but they have not always been fighting among themselves. There have been a way of interacting. But when we ask them to come and stay together, of course, not based on certain agreement among them, based on the agreement of other people. These people, of course, I'm talking of the European power now. They didn't leave the people to also evolve. They didn't leave the system to evolve because it's like a marriage. In the beginning, you talk about divorce. No, this is something that happened. In that when you bring a woman and a man from different home to come and form a family, we cannot pretend that everything is going to be well all the time. For that marriage to work, there are going to be sacrifice. There are going to be okay, yes, you are not going to be right all the time. You are going to allow your partner to be right too and accept when you are wrong. This is when it is normal. But there are some times that some people can come to elevate the error of the other in order for some other ulterior motive. In the case of nations now, like Nigeria, the people are not allowed to really evolve naturally among themselves. The colonial system deliberately favors certain part of the community, certain part of the nation, so that there can be this tension, this division. And the reason for this is to make sure that the people do not concentrate on their real problems. Because if they concentrate on their real problem, they will be able to solve it, no? But because
Mm.
now they are focusing on artificial things that are not really there, and while they are fighting among themselves, then this colonial system can begin to favor themselves, no? That is basically the explanation. So as to whether maybe the people from West Africa just naturally do not know how to live among themselves, probably this is why the African diaspora inherited it. I don't think is true. Yes, but even where you are there, because the same British that colonized Nigeria is the same that is colonizing the same place there. So the system is basically the same.
The
That
system
is
is
my take.
broken. The system is broken.